It is tempting to look at culture as a vapor, a spontaneous, organic drift of ideas. But culture is actually built. It is a manufactured, interconnected infrastructure operating through distinct domains. In 1975, a handful of Christian thinkers recognized that fulfilling the Great Commission required an accurate map of this infrastructure. Strategists and institutional leaders began arriving at the exact same conclusion independently. Measured structures provided a strategic imperative. To defend truth, you have to be present inside the actual institutions that define a society. This is the Seven Mountains Framework, a diagnostic map of 7 interconnected nodes: religion, family, education, government, media, arts, and business. Each node represents a specific lever of cultural influence. Defending a single front, like the local church building, is ineffective. When an adversarial worldview captures all 7 nodes simultaneously, resistance becomes nearly impossible. Treating society as a collection of isolated issues rather than one connected system creates a catastrophic tactical error: fragmentation. This logic leads to the sacred secular fallacy, the belief that spiritual work only occurs inside a sanctuary. This thinking causes believers to retreat into a spiritualized bunker. By walling off the church, we surrendered the actual mechanisms of cultural influence. We defended the pulpit, but handed over the schoolhouse, the movie screen, and the marketplace to adversarial worldviews. There is no neutral territory. We fought legal battles for abstract religious liberty, yet ignored the ethical decay of the corporate boardroom. Engaging this territory requires strict theological boundaries. We have to reject the dominionist trap, the attempt to take these mountains through aggressive political domination and theocratic coercion. The correct protocol is an incarnational strategy. This means maintaining a faithful, stabilizing presence within hostile, secular environments to serve your neighbors. You cannot use adversarial tactics to claim cultural territory. Deception, slander, and pragmatic politics are off the table. Holy ends require holy means. In this framework, influence is not gained by demanding authority. It is secured through unmatched professional competence and unyielding moral integrity. Competence is the currency that buys influence. You force adversaries to acknowledge your position by simply outperforming them and demonstrating the undeniable superiority of a life lived in truth. Cultural domains do not exist in vacuums. A vulnerability in one mountain bleeds into the others, initiating a systemic domino chain called the cascade effect. This chart diagrams the modern cultural collapse, tracing to an upstream breach in education, installing a new worldview in youth. Schools and media created a midstream squeeze, isolating the family. Maturing, this generation executed a downstream capture, forcing radical shifts across religion, business, and government. Because the attack moves systemically through these transmission belts, an integrated multi-front defense is the only way to prevent generational destruction. To build that defense, we have to map the specific vulnerabilities of the foundational spheres. Religion is the keystone. If the church stops defining objective truth, society immediately defaults to shifting social consensus. The family is the pre-political transmission belt of civilization. It forms identity and worldview, making it the primary target for a state trying to sever the bond between parent and child. Education acts as the mind of the culture. It installs the epistemological framework, how a society determines what is true, long before those citizens ever reach voting age. Government stands alone because it possesses coercive power. It does not persuade, it punishes. It codifies cultural values into binding law, which means it must be strictly stewarded to restrain evil and protect the innocent. Protecting these 4 spheres is the prerequisite for civilizational continuity. If they fall, identity, morality, and authority collapse with them. Then we have the public spheres, which control what a society consumes. The media functions as the central nervous system, shifting away from objective reporting toward algorithmic gatekeeping that manufactures public consensus. The arts and entertainment sector governs the imagination. It possesses the pre-political power of story and aesthetics to bypass rational defenses entirely, shaping what a civilization instinctively loves or fears. Business and economics serve as the logistical engine. Today, corporate power bypasses democracy, using capital coercion, like ESG scores, to force ideological compliance across supply chains and local communities. We must eradicate the bunker mentality. The response to capital coercion is building resilient, sovereign supply lines and parallel ecosystems within these public spheres. A career in law, finance, or the arts functions as a frontline spiritual deployment. These professional vocations provide the necessary ground for preserving truth across civilization.